Well, hey there, I'm Joshua Messick alongside my friend Russell Cook, who is the owner and master craftsman and everything at...
and janitor.
That's right, and janitor at Masterworks Hammer Dulcimers. And today we're going to be telling you about the different models that Masterworks makes, all their hammer dulcimer offerings coming right up. I would like to tell you about the buyer's guide. If you're looking for something that is beyond this video, I highly recommend the Masterworks buyer's guide. It is just awesome. And if you would like to get a copy, a physical print copy of it, you can email me or call me. Information's on the screen or on my website, joshuamessick.com, and I'll be glad to send one to you. Also, you can get a PDF copy of it on the Masterworks website. We are showing you right now what not to do with your hammer dulcimer. Do not keep your hammer dulcimer by the fireplace. This is bad for it, right, Russell? No?
Nope. Keep it real close to the fireplace all winter long so you can order a brand new instrument in the spring.
Yes, it creates dry air, which will dry out your instrument and increase the chances of having a cracked soundboard or something bad. So don't do this, but you know what? We wanted the nice cozy environment. It's the wintertime right now, and we just like the nice aesthetic appeal of this. We're not very much fun to look at, but the fireplace sure is.
And
we need all the help.
too.
Oh yeah, and the instruments are too. That's a good point. We need all the help we can get. Now, before we go any farther, the thing that matters the most is what does each model sound like. So we're going to have a side-by-side comparison of each model, and then we'll go into much greater detail about what makes each model unique, as well as some extended sound samples. So if you're interested in buying a Masterworks hammer dulcimer, I am a certified, authorized representative. And the way this works is you'll actually contact me directly, once again through my website. Information is in the description below. And I will guide you through the entire buying process. And I will answer all of your questions and then also help you fulfill your order. And I will send you an invoice and help you figure out the best way to pay. So just so you know, I am your rep, and please contact me directly and I will help you out.
I'm 100% confident in his ability to do this. He's been involved with this, the DulciForte design, and even the extended range 1717 for years now, as have several wonderful representatives across the United States, and I appreciate every one of them. Joshua is as capable as anybody to take your order and walk you through the process. It is a process, especially if you're custom ordering trim, bindings, and making the package, and you need someone that's patient, but also someone that's experienced to walk you through it. He can handle it. He can do it.
Thank you so much. All right, so first of all, let's talk about the Pioneer Hammer Dulcimer. And the information is on your screen right now, but Russell, tell us a little bit more about the size and weight and who this instrument is for.
Well, it's a full-sized instrument, and that can be determined by different people, different opinions, but a 1615 instrument is a really good full-sized instrument, and it only weighs about 11.5 pounds average. most anyone in the world can carry that in.
So it remains very portable, and it's not too big that it's difficult to get places, and the lightweight allows you to just pick it up and take it places, get it on and off the stand real easy.
Buzz to lessons or jam sessions or club meetings or wherever. Easy to go.
So the range of the instrument, the total range is about 3 octaves.
Yes,
correct?
a little over 3 octaves, and about 2 to 2.5 octaves of chromatics, just within its natural range. You don't have to have extra bridges or whatnot. So I can play probably 90% of the music that I play on a 16-15 instrument.
Wonderful. And the string spacing?
It's about 9/10 of an inch.
Okay.
So a little shy of 1 inch.
Okay, so tell me more about the technologies that go into the Pioneer.
The bridge and soundboard are the 2 most important components of the hammer dulcimer. So the bridges are exotic hardwood, not just like walnut or cherry. It's a much denser, harder wood. It transfers that energy more efficiently. And the soundboard is a solid vertical grain, hand-picked SIPO mahogany soundboard. Okay. So vertical grain wood is very important for soundboards, for durability and in tone. It's actually a tapered soundboard. It's not the same thickness everywhere. Don't need that in certain places, so get rid of it. It makes it lighter weight and vibrate more. Outside of that, it's always a hard maple pin block and Finland birch back laminated, and then the end rails are a soft, lightweight alder, considered a hardwood, but again, lightweight. So all total, you got a 16-15 instrument that's only about 11.5 pounds.
Wonderful. And who specifically would buy this instrument? Who's the buyer for this?
It's intended to be an instrument for someone who is just getting started on the hammer dulcimer. I wouldn't call it a give it a try kind of an instrument, but I fear there are too many folks who never successfully play a hammer dulcimer because they wind up with such an instrument that does not please them, does not satisfy their desire. You're buying it to hear music. So this is a good quality instrument. It's a good sounding, almost too good sometimes, it seems like to me, but it's intended for folks just getting started. It comes with what you need to get started, and that's why we call it the Pioneer package.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a case to hold it, a stand to put it on, tuning wrench, good quality tuning wrench, good hammers, and a chromatic electronic tuner. The only thing left to choose would be maybe some instructional materials.
Instruction materials, and then also it's available in 3 different finishes, correct?
Yep. Yeah, natural. So mahogany SIPO is a caramel brown. Very popular is the cranberry, a reddish cranberry is beautiful, and then also just a dark chocolate brown stain.
Wonderful. And the finishes on this, it's stained all over, everything, top, back, pin blocks. About the cons of the Pioneer, what are some potential downsides?
Well, not necessarily cons, but limitations.
Okay.
We don't offer chromatics on this instrument. You start growing in your abilities, you might want to plan on going to a nicer instrument like the Ultralight or Russell Cook edition. Same thing with dampers. We don't offer it. The dampers we build are excellent, high-quality dampers, but they're difficult to build, so they're a little expensive. You don't want to probably spend that much money on an instrument that has limitations.
Got it. Okay, well, let's go give it a listen. So next up is the Ultralight, and the size and weight is on your screen. But this instrument is called an Ultralight, so let's talk a little bit more about the size and weight, the Ultralight.
Sure. The name Ultralight came from my very first diving in, trying to make a more portable instrument for the Dulcimer world. When I started in '79, the average weight was over 40 pounds.
Hold on, 40 pounds.
And that's the average. That means there were some that were a little lighter, but a lot of them that were a lot heavier.
Crazy.
So the Ultralight is a very lightweight version of the hammer Dulcimer. Comes in at 11.5 pounds average.
Even though it's slightly bigger than the Pioneer, it's still a lighter weight.
Yep, it is. It's a all solid wood instrument, and it's just a great portable, lightweight, durable instrument.
So the range and the configuration options on this?
Yep, it's a 16-15, 16 treble, 15 bass. It is also available as a chromatic, fully chromatic. It will have 2 extra notes at the top left and 3 extra notes at the bottom left. Makes it fully chromatic over 3 octaves from the bottom to the highest note. Also available with a small amount of extended range notes called the XR7.
Extended
range.
Yeah.
And it's on the lower left corner also. So instead of 3 notes, you would have 7 notes. And often folks will choose, I never use that chromatic note or this chromatic note, and get even more extended range notes.
Very cool. So instead of going down to a D3, it could literally go down to a D2. Maybe not fully chromatic all the way down, but at least you'd have some extra bass notes to be able to play. That's very, very, very useful. So the string spacing on this instrument?
It's about 1 inch.
About 1 inch, so just a little bit more than the Pioneer. So now let's talk about some of the technologies, and this is really where you're going to start seeing the Masterworks innovation in an instrument. Tell us more about the special sauce technologies that are in the Ultralight.
Years ago, I had someone, we were building the Ultralight as back then, it was about 14.5 pounds. And several people in 1 year came to me and said, I can't carry more than about 11 pounds. Can you get this down? They really wanted 10 pounds. And I'll give it a try. And I did. And I started carving and tapering and thinning and honeycombing and choosing different materials for bracing and such. And it wound up at 11.5 pounds. Wow. So it's a very, very portable but larger instrument.
So the soundboard technology is actually tapered, correct?
Yes. Soundboard tends to warp on any instrument because of the pressure the bridge is pushing down on it. So you make it thicker, right? Well, you need that strength in the center of the soundboard, but it's glued down all the way around. There's no need for it to be that thick everywhere. So it's gradually tapered in all directions.
And by taking out wood in the soundboard, that improves vibration.
Over a pound.
Wow, over a pound of wood out of the soundboard?
Just
That's
in the
incredible.
soundboard.
And so that improves vibration, which creates better tone and also volume. You'll have a greater dynamic range from getting real soft if I want to, but if I want to get loud, I have the option or the availability to do that.
Right. Yep. The other thing we do is hollow out the pin blocks. They are about 2 inches, 2.5 inches wide. The bulk of that wood is not being used. It's just filling a space. So we hollow the inside of the pin blocks out. And that takes about another 1.5 pounds out of the weight of the instrument. Wow. So it's just a little here, a little there, a little there. We honeycomb the internal end rails, use mahogany instead of a real dense hardwood. That saves about 0.5 pound. So yes, the ability to make it lighter weight also changes the voice of the instrument. The less mass there is, the easier it is to make it vibrate. And that's where volume comes from, and it also changes the tone, gives you a deeper, bigger bottom end. So in the end, you wind up with greater dynamic range. You can play a loud note or you can play a softer note. Whereas if you had a thicker, stiffer soundboard, more mass, it would just be a thinner voice.
So by taking out wood, does this in any way compromise the strength or the durability?
Not if you do it correctly.
Which Masterworks does. Well, that was easy. No, it's still really strong.
It is.
So who is this instrument for? Who's the potential buyer?
Number one would be someone who has a hard time lifting, carrying something. It's just about as light as you can get a hammer dulcimer in the world. But also, it is a performer quality instrument now. It is something that you'll be proud of 10 years from now. It is an instrument that can grow with you. You can add to it. You can add
dampers, you can add
chromatics, extended range, as we spoke of before. You can stain the soundboard. You can stain it all over if you want, if you ask for it. But you can add microphones to it. It is the full package if you want it to be, and still very lightweight. It's performer quality. It's recording capable.
Compared to the Pioneer, the Ultralight really does sound better in a nutshell. And if you ever get to play them side by side in person, it's a lot better. It's not just a little bit better. No, the Ultralight really is a lot better. So I would have to say, if you're on the fence kind of wondering, is it really worth the upgrade and the extra expense? If you care about sound quality, yes, it is. It really is.
If you use good headphones, you'll get some of that. But I promise you, you can double whatever you hear over a microphone, over a speaker, over headphones. In person, it's just double that.
And what is included with the Ultralight?
It comes with hammers and tuning wrench.
Okay, so no case or stand.
Nope, but they're all available. A lot of folks already have those, so there's no need to double up on them.
What are some potential cons or downsides of the Ultralight?
It's not free. That's it.
That's it. Well, the only thing that I can personally think of is, for an instrument that sounds this good, you might want more range. And that can be a little frustrating sometimes when you have a piece of music that goes really high or really low and the notes just aren't there. But we've got a way to solve that, and that's with the Russell Cook editions and the DulciFortes. We'll tell you about those in just a little bit. But for now, let's go give the Ultralight a listen. So next up is the Russell Cook edition. Russell, what makes this instrument worthy to put your name on it?
Well, it's because I had customers ask me to build an instrument just like I'd build for myself if I went out to the workshop, and I included all the assets in a package that I would want if I was building myself an instrument back 15 years ago.
Fun. So the size and the weight of the instrument?
It is just slightly heavier than the Ultralight because it's a slightly larger instrument. So it's about 12 pounds average.
And the range is a little bit bigger too. It's a 1717.
Chromatic. It also has an extra note at the bottom of the bass bridge that you can tune to a lower tonic note. But most important about that, it has extra range at the top for the key of F and B flat.
That's a huge plus, because all of those keys are very common.
Yeah, it just feels like a bigger instrument.
Yeah, it
without
does.
being one.
Let's get into the meat of the Russell Cook edition here. This is where this instrument really becomes exciting to talk about. That's some of the technologies that go into it, specifically for the soundboard and the bridge design.
Those are the two most important components of a hammer dulcimer. All of it's important, but that's what gives it its voice. So a mahogany soundboard is sort of considered normal, but there are also softwood soundboards, spruce, cedar, redwood. In experimenting, I came upon the combination of redwood, about 35% redwood to 65% mahogany. Gave me a voice that was just somewhere in between and special, had these neat overtones. And then you taper it, and like we do on the Ultralight, it just produced a fantastic sound. Later on, I decided I wanted to make it just a little safer because redwood is dangerous. So we sandwiched
Dangerous in what way?
In clamping it up, it's easy to crush it.
So it won't harm me.
No,
Okay.
no, but
All right.
it would be dangerous for the soundboard crack, or
Okay.
most importantly, the glue joint.
Just a brittle wood to work with.
Right. So by sandwiching it between the redwood, between two thin layers of mahogany, sturdies the glue joint to the point that we have yet to ever have one give us a problem. Not one since we did that.
So the soundboard on the Russell Cook edition helps the instrument sound better when compared to the Ultralight.
Yep. It's a bigger volume, just a richer voice, some little overtones that you just didn't hear in the solid mahogany soundboard.
Also helps create more of a balance between the low end and the top end. It just creates a nice evenness of tone throughout the whole instrument.
It does.
And then the bridges, how are those designed?
They are Murado.
They're Murado, yeah.
Yeah, Murado, which is very much like rosewood, is a stiff, hard, dense wood, but it gives a rich, mellow sound. But it can create too much sustain. So we wanted to reduce sustain a little bit. We can't change it from Murado or rosewood, so what do? You make it more tapered, less massive by taking away some of the unnecessary part of the bridges, just like the soundboard and the pin blocks and everything else. We scallop it underneath, and it makes the bridge more flexible. And in turn, in the end, it still sustains as long, but it's not as apparent.
Right.
It dissipates. The higher energy level goes away faster, but the low level is still there, giving you that rich hammered dulcimer voice.
But the Russell Cook edition is more than just a soundboard upgrade and a bridge upgrade. There's a lot of other things that make this instrument something really special, and that instrument that was your dream instrument.
Yep. Everyone wants something beautiful. Most everyone do, and I do, and that's what I wanted in my instrument. So I collect exotic hardwoods from all over the world.
He really does.
I've got a
You
shop
go everywhere for him.
I do.
Travel the world.
It is a special instrument that has that one-of-a-kind exotic wood with its grain or the colors, a variety of colors. Some woods have a rainbow of colors within one piece of wood. And then the stain accents and goes along with
So a stain is included?
A stain's included in the price. The exotic wood is included in the price.
Mm-hmm.
The lower sustained bridges are included in the instrument. So we get to start playing with creating a visual package that really satisfies a customer.
Then also on the bridges you get curly maple markers, and that is a very, very nice feature. Not just it looks better, but it also helps me to be able to see the markers better and know where I'm at on the instrument faster. That's
your roadmap.
It is your roadmap, and
Yep.
it's absolutely beautiful. So, and let me just say this about the visual upgrades on an instrument. It really is important whenever I am playing an instrument that's visually pleasing and enjoyable to be around. It really does influence my personality and my attitude when I come to the instrument to practice or perform. It's important. Who is this instrument for?
It is for a person who wants to play a hammer dulcimer or has been playing a hammer dulcimer, has been playing for a long time, and they put off upgrading their instrument to something that's extraordinarily special. Someone that feels like I put forth the effort, I deserve it. Or it's for that person that already knows they're going to learn to play, they've messed around with it long enough. I want to start off with a high quality instrument to start with.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that. If the tone quality, which this is really, really good, if you're the kind of person who may be a musician or have a really, really good ear for quality and you want something that sounds great and that's important to you, I see nothing wrong with starting with the Russell Cook edition as your first instrument. If you've got a really discerning ear. Yeah.
I have many.
So what are some potential cons or downsides of the Russell Cook edition?
About the only thing I can think of, it's a little more expensive. So, you're getting all these other upgrades and increased in size, and especially the soundboard. That's the big part of the Russell Cook edition. That's the foundation of what separates it from not just our other models, but a lot of other instruments in the world.
Yeah.
But, so it's a little more expensive, but,
You
you're
get what
worth it. You're worth it.
That's
I
right.
promise.
You get what you pay for. And what's included?
Hammers and tuning wrench.
Okay, so once again, it does not include case or stand because those may be things that you've already got, and the Russell Cook edition will fit in the ultralight case.
It will.
Well, let's go give it a listen. Hey guys, while I'm creating these sound samples, we're actually having the very first snowfall here in North Carolina. So I wanted to take a little break, get some fresh air. But real quick, I wanted to let you know about the Russell Cook edition. I was not able to get my hands on a standard base model Russell Cook edition. However, that's no problem because I have the Russell Cook edition extended range. Those instruments sound the same. They're the same body. However, the Russell Cook edition extended range does have a few notes that the base model Russell Cook edition does not have. So when you hear me hit those low notes to the bottom right or those high notes up in the far left, just realize that those notes are not there on the Russell Cook edition. However, once again, the instruments sound the same, so we are consolidating the sound clips. To hear this clip, just go to the time marker on your screen. So let's talk about the Russell Cook edition extended range. And this is literally the Russell Cook edition with some extra bridges on it. So the size and weight is going to be roughly the same as the Russell Cook edition,
Just a slight increase because of the extra little bridge on the right side and the tuning pins, hitch pins, and those big wound strings. Yep, Russell Cook edition is about 3 1/3, nearly 3 1/2 octaves, but this is a solid 4 1/2 octaves, going all the way from a D2 all the way up to an A6.
An A6, that is crazy high for a hammer dulcimer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And the string spacing is the same as the Russell Cook edition, 1 inch, right at about an inch?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Fits in the same case as the Russell Cook edition. It's just an extra octave of range on the same package.
So the technologies, it inherits all the same technologies in the Russell Cook edition, but there's also one other important technology of internal sealant that's included.
Yep. Internal sealant just keeps the moisture from moving in and out of the wood on the inside of the instrument because the outside's already sealed with finish. So if you're moving from a high humidity to low humidity or vice versa, it's going to help the instrument not go out of tune near as fast. Doesn't stop it, but slows it way, way down. So it's very, very beneficial. And that is available on the Ultralight or the Russell Cook edition too.
All right, so let's talk about some of the design improvements that this instrument has. It has included some contrasting end rail bindings and some corner caps.
Yep. The bindings are just small 1/4 inch contrasting colored wood that coordinates with maybe grain in the end rail, maybe coordinates with the stain of the soundboard, maybe coordinate with the dampers, the woods that are being used there. And then you also have the corner caps. We trim the corners off on the wide end of the instrument. It cuts about 1.5 inches off the width of the instrument, makes it fit in the case a little better, and just makes it a little narrower to carry around. And you can coordinate that color with the bindings, or maybe that with something else like the dampers.
A lot of the people buying this instrument are going ahead and adding the dampers, and that kind of creates an edge or a type of a frame around the edges of the instrument. Yeah, and then the contrasting end rail binding is really nice because that helps to frame the whole instrument. It's just very, very, very beautiful. So there's 2 different bridge types that a lot of players use on the extended range, the Murado bridges and then also the dual response. But I mean, people want to know what kind they should get. So can you give us some information about the personality of the types of players that are choosing the bridge types?
Yep. A lot of players come to me just, I want to play in church, I want to play hymns, or I want to play Irish harp tunes or things like that. they're not in need of a lot of control of sustain in their instruments. So just the Murata bridges are great for them. Probably would be for me. Someone like yourself playing a lot of exotic music and really fast and lots of rhythms, definitely need as much sustained control as possible without losing the sweetness. And so the dual response bridge has a tapered in cherry section of the bridge. Cherry is softer and causes sustain to go away faster. I've had numerous performers tell me since they got those bridges, they'll never play, even if it's somebody else's instrument, they'll always have a dual response bridge in their instrument.
That's great. So who is the Russell Cook Edition extended range for?
Someone that wants to play a lot of music, that needs a lot of notes, so really probably someone that's pushing performer capabilities, certainly performers, someone who travels a lot. Recently have a very prominent Dulcimer musician, travels all over the world, and he loves the DulciForte, but I just can't carry it on the plane, you know. So it's a portable but big, full-sounding instrument with lots of range. So that kind of a person that needs something more portable to carry, but needs the notes, needs the music.
So at this point, you're in the professional concert grade instrument, and they're absolutely
Certainly
amazing.
capable of that, but there's lots of folks who aren't, but intend to be and are working their way towards that, and they don't want to buy a beginner instrument, then an intermediate, then a Russell Cook Edition, then come back and get an extended range. They know that maybe they can't handle the size of the DulciForte, so this is a good, complete package for someone who's very confident about where they're going with their music.
Then you don't have to worry about upgrading.
Yep.
Unless, of course, you want to get the DulciForte, but we'll talk about that later. There are two configurations available with the extended bass on the left or the extended bass on the right. Which one should you choose? Well, if you've been playing with the extended range on the left for a while, you're probably used to that, and you might want to think about getting the extended range on the left. I know of a gentleman who's been playing the hammer dulcimer for decades, and he's very used to the extended range on the left. Well, he liked the idea and the logic of the extended range on the right, so he got an extended right instrument. However, after using it for a while, he just couldn't adjust his music to that, so he ended up getting the extended range left instead. Now, if you're brand new to the hammer dulcimer, or you've never played an extended range instrument before, or you feel like you can make the change, I do recommend that you look at the extended range right. It flows better with the logic and layout of the hammer dulcimer, and even though there are some exceptions, the majority of the time your sticking or your hammer patterns will flow better with the extended range on the right. I will say this, by far the most popular choice, and also my choice, is for the extended range to be on the right. So some potential cons for the extended range, in my opinion, are, well, its price.
Yep, it is more expensive.
It's more expensive, but that's why it's awesome. One other thing to think about is with the extended range, if you want all the notes in tune, it does take a little longer to tune it. But on the upside, if you find that you're not really using the extended range notes, you don't have to tune them. Yeah. I recommend you do it, but you don't have to.
I have found the extended range and even the bottom of the bass bridge and the treble bridge doesn't go out of tune like the smaller instruments or less expensive instruments do. It's not. It has to do with the size and mass of the strings. And of course, the extended range, most of it is single strings, but you will not have to tune those strings near as much as you will the treble bridge strings, which you're tuning already. I
haven't noticed it really being a problem for me, but
there are more.
There's always some type of a con with every decision that you're making, and there are more strings, and that might increase your tuning time just a little bit. What's included with the extended range?
Comes with hammers and tuning wrench like the others. The case is the same, again, as the Russell Cook Edition and the Ultralight, so you may already have that case. I'm sure you already have stand, and such. So just what you need to tune and play.
Well, let's go give it a listen. All right, the DulciForte. This is an instrument that I am really excited to talk about because it's something that we spent about 4 years together designing. I was a part of the team, not the whole team, but definitely part of the team that was influential in designing it. And I've got to say, in my humble opinion, I do feel that if sound quality is the most important thing to you, then you can't go wrong with the DulciForte. It is absolutely amazing. And let's talk real quick about the size and weight, because this is where this instrument is noticeably different.
Yes, it is a bigger instrument. It's about 51 inches wide as compared to 44 or so inches wide on the Russell Cook Edition and the Russell Cook Edition XR. It is 25 inches across, and that is one of the bigger differences in this instrument. And the Russell Cook Edition, it has 1 1/8 inch string spacing instead of 1 inch. Multiply that by 20 courses instead of 17. And we've allowed plenty of room on either side for voicing of that instrument. You know, if you're going to make it big, don't cramp it at the last edge. So it's a big instrument. And that means more square inches of soundboard, and you just get a bigger sound out of this instrument.
It's kind of like if you've ever played an upright piano, a really, really good one, it sounds amazing, don't get me wrong. But if you compare a really good upright piano next to a 9-foot grand piano, the 9-foot grand piano is going to sound better because it's bigger.
Not saying the DulciForte sounds like a
no, I'm just saying
9-foot, but the relationship between those two very much.
That's right. Because of the bigger size of the DulciForte, that's part of what helps it sound amazing. I'd like to insert here about the range of the DulciForte. It goes from an A1 all the way up to an A6. That's 5 octaves of range. Now that A1 is low. That's actually a little bit lower than a cello. And as you can see, this is mostly chromatic for all 5 octaves. There are a few bass notes that are missing. For instance, if you look at the lowest B, below that, there's not a B flat. However, if you really need that B flat for your music, it's very easy to alternate tune that B down to a B flat or the low A1 up to the B flat.
The technological side of it is actually very, very similar to the Russell Cook Edition. Same kind of soundboard, the redwood mahogany sandwich type soundboard, and all the same type of bridges. The extended range is set up the same way.
Now, it does come standard with the dual response bridges because it's lower, okay? It
really
goes lower.
There's a lot of big lower strings.
And it really needs
control.
The dual response. Yeah, the clarity that you gain from
those. We can do it without, but I don't think you'll ever hear that much of a difference in tone with a low dual response bridge. Yeah.
Right. Right. Definitely recommend it. That's why it's included standard.
The internal sealants are, of course, already included in that. The exotic wood end rails and the bindings and the bridge caps and contrasting the stain. So, you know, it's already decked out, and it's a nice instrument package.
Absolutely love it. And there's all kinds of, upgrades that you might want to consider when you're in this tier of instrument. I try to really tell people, buy it with dampers. When you get those low notes, the dampers become, in my opinion, essential, okay? Not optional. That's my opinion. So if you see that you're going to play those low notes a lot, you really want the dampers. And also things like the internal pickup. You might want to consider that depending on what kind of environment you're in. If you're playing like in a praise and worship band or outside a lot, you really benefit from having those because a microphone doesn't really do you a lot of good if you're playing right next to the drummer. And then also some people like to experiment with plugins and effects. And I know John McCutcheon might be a name that has done that quite a bit by using pickup for some effects. Dan Landrum's another guy that's done that quite a bit.
Lots of folks.
Yeah, it's really nice. So there's a lot of things that you can add on to this instrument, and if you'd like to talk to me about that, please give me a call, send me an email, and we'll chat. But the DulciForte is an awesome instrument. Can't say enough good things about it. It's what I play, and it definitely holds a special, tender place in my heart. So,
My personal testimony on that is I said I would never play an instrument that big because I've been all about a small portable instrument all my life, all my Dulcimer building years. After playing on it for about a month or two, I gave up. I got to have a DulciForte. I can't play anything but a DulciForte. It just has so much power and so much depth, and those lower keys just it's like a cello or a bass and a drum all playing along with you at once. It really sounds like more than just a single instrument.
and it's not just the low end of the instrument, it's actually the treble also benefits from that bigger size. It's a sweeter, and I would even use the word more pure sound. It's awesome. Just as with the Russell Cook extended range, there are also two configuration options available for the DulciForte: the extended range left or the extended range right. As I already stated, if you're already used to those extended range notes on the left, you might want to think about that. However, if the extended range option is something new to you or you're willing to make the change, I do feel it makes better sense to get the extended range right. That's what I use, and it is by far the most popular choice for the DulciForte. Hey, the only cons that I foresee about the DulciForte, I think we've already mentioned, is the physical size. And it's not so big you can't transport it. I mean, you could put it in the back of a Honda Civic without a problem. I've done that many times.
My wife's 4'11" tall, had a busted arm, and she carried it out to the RV for me going to Winfield a year ago. I couldn't believe it. It's not that heavy. It's about 18 pounds.
Yeah.
It's just bulky.
Yeah.
So
it's still a portable instrument. And the other con is, you can probably guess, is the price. But you know what? It's really not that cost prohibitive if you're comparing it to something like a really, really quality violin or cello that could easily be $50,000. You know, it's not even anywhere close to that. So when you're in this level of instrument, you know, think like a fine guitar or a fine harp, compared to something like that, it's really quite affordable.
Well, we try to keep it that way. We want everyone who wants one to have one, if at all possible, but they just don't build themselves, and they're complicated, and there's a lot of it. It takes a lot longer to go through the clamping and the sanding and the finishing stage. It's just a lot of Dulcimer, but it sounds like it. It's a lot of Dulcimer.
All right, well, hey, let's go give it a quick listen. Well, I first heard the hammer dulcimer when I was 4 years old on a recording by Russell Cook, and I was so moved by the beauty of it that I promised my mom I was going to learn to play it. Well, 25 years later, here I am as a full-time hammer dulcimer player, having the absolute time of my life. But I know what it is like to hear the hammer dulcimer, fall in love with it, and have a dream of playing it. And if you have that dream, I know what that's like. And I really want to help you fulfill that dream of playing the hammer dulcimer. So I'd like to make myself available to you. If you need help knowing which instrument to pick or just want more information that wasn't covered in this video, please contact me directly through my website, joshuamessick.com. I'm here to help. I've probably been in your shoes at some point in my life. I have a lot of compassion for where you're at. So please contact me. I'm here to help. Thank you.